And this is a request from the Longboard Key Club for the Town Commission to consider changes in the town's zone code.
Well, this is a request for the Key Club. I think the most appropriate thing would be to hear from Mr. Patterson, Mr. Mayor.
These things are too shallow.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. For the record, my name is John Patterson, and I represent the Key Club. You've seen quite a bit of me and Mr. Furin. You've heard a lot of arguments over the period of time. A number of these arguments have challenged the authority of the Commission to proceed with the application and grant the application. I have gone through all of the memoranda that have been written on the subject. I've tried to condense it down. You're looking at a relatively few in number provisions of the code that are really impacted by the challenge to this Commission's authority to either disapprove or to approve, if you so choose to approve this application. So as I indicated in my letter to you, it makes sense to us at this point in time to take a break from this and to look at these relatively few provisions of the code, your land development code, and have the Commission consider, have the P&Z Board, which your code requires consider this, first of all, but to have this considered, and if you so choose, then clean this up so this goes forward on a legal platform that isn't going to be subject to debates back and forth over whether this comma has a difference and whether this word has a difference and whether this section conflicts with this section, and if they conflict, then which one prevails. So that is the essence of the request. I tried to figure out how to hook this in with a rate decrease because I figured if I could do this, it would go forward real quickly, but I've been unable to do that. But that is the essence of the request. And I'd be pleased to answer any questions you may have.
I'm sure there will be some questions, but...
And we don't propose to change the discretion of this Commission in doing that.
Wouldn't it simplify matters if that were discussed and that were made an issue?
Well, it could. And I think that depends on where you go in terms of your philosophy. Our philosophy in making this suggestion was to just limit this to those provisions of your code that directly have been used to directly challenge the ability of you to take action on this application other than to just kick it out the door.
So everything you're suggesting, we don't have to take action, is that right?
I think of all of that list, of which there were about 14, I think where I would suggest that action is appropriate are a relatively few code sections. And to clarify the 5%, that was one you heard all sorts of debate back and forth on the so-called 5% rule, the 5% non-residential use. That one should be cleared up. It really should.
Are you asking for clarification or change? There is some difference.
Yeah, right. It depends on your view, Commissioner Lenoble. Our view is a clarification. Mike Furin's view, since he takes the position that the code says you can't do it, he would call it a change. The staff says it may be interpreted one way, which we rather agree with, and Mr. Furin and his client take issue with that. So it depends on who's on what side, whether it's a change or a clarification. I submit it's a clarification.
Okay.
A follow-up question on that. After listing these 14, which are all into Section 158, you do not suggest that we need to do any review of the comprehensive plan?
I don't think so, Commissioner Seekman. We're rather comfortable with the comprehensive plan as it exists as a platform for the approval of this application if this commission so agrees to approve it. So we're fine with the comp plan as it exists.
John, are you suggesting that we basically put this through the normal process, or are you looking for special meetings to do this, to expedite this?
I would like to expedite it. I'll be quite candid with you. This has gone on for a long time. I think in the long run, if you do this, if you take this through the P&Z board and back to the commission, in your normal processes, I think the timing will work unless it just goes on forever for some reason. But it's really tight. And, I mean, the issues have all been threshed out. I mean, it's not like there's a secret out there someplace. They've been briefed by Mr. Furin's side. They've been briefed by our side. We know what the interpretive issues are with the code. We've focused on those for days and days. So it's not like you're hunting for a needle in the haystack. You know right where the needle is. It's really, as I would call it, it's microsurgery to correct something that in all of this stress test that this code has gone through, you see some things, and it's not surprising that you can have capable counsel argue one side or the other on and challenge the authority of this commission to grant it at all. You don't have the power. So what we are suggesting is take those relatively few sections, clear those up, one way or the other. I'm not suggesting how you do it, but I think it's something that if you did that, if you cleared it up, it would do a favor to the citizens of Longboat Key, because you would know where that is, you know where the commission stands on it, and if you grant it or deny it, it would be a better platform for whatever action you chose to ultimately take on it.
Mr. Mayor, just to follow up on the reason I asked the question, and